Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Bonjour à toutes les personnes ici présentes et merci. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Métis people. And it is an incredible honor to be with you today. And I just want to start by saying thank you for the break in the discussion. It's so incredibly important to have your input. And thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the break for the installation and then continuation of the discussion into GC. It's incredible how passionate and engaged you all are, and I want all of you to keep having that voice within the CMA. And I am here to reassure you that members remain central to all that we do, and that you will continue to be a major part of our policy and advocacy agenda. Diversity of opinion is important. And that's partly what makes our association so strong. La diversité des opinions est très importante. Et c'est assurément une des raisons qui rend notre organisation si forte. Change isn't easy, but it's necessary, especially in today's world. And sometimes we have to find ways to change that are disruptive and to find ways to move forward together. And that's what the last 2 days have been about. We've heard about technology and moonshots and how technology is set to change the face of healthcare. And that got me thinking about, well, what is innovation exactly? And to me, it means a different and hopefully better way moving forward. But I want you to think beyond that and consider innovation beyond just technology. How can we innovate in how we do things and how we think and how we act? And in that, I thought about how innovation can improve some of the issues that I'm passionate about: physician health, representation, and diversity and advocacy. So I'm going to start with a story, which is my story. I come from a medical family. My mother was a nurse, and she raised me to be a strong, independent woman. My father was a hardworking GP who ran his own practice, and he was my inspiration and role model when I started to think about a career in medicine. And my great-great-great-uncle in law was the famous Sir William Osler. And it's kind of funny, to tell you the truth. It's often very interesting to see the reactions of people who hear they're going to meet one of Sir William's doctor relatives, and they meet me instead, a youngish woman of color, because I'm not usually what they're expecting to see. A few years ago, my dad passed away suddenly after a short illness. It was a Sunday evening, and the next day, on the Monday, I had a full office booked. I didn't want to cancel on any of my patients, and I didn't want to let anybody down. I didn't know what else to do but go into work on the Monday and just keep working. So I did. And that period of trying to juggle a busy surgical practice and a death in the family, it broke me, and I felt burnt out. And you've all likely heard about physician burnout, how it's a state of deep mental and physical exhaustion. And it's characterized by feelings of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, cynicism, and a reduced sense of personal accomplishment. And many people don't like the concept of work-life balance because it creates this dichotomy. To have more of this, you need to lose some of this. And as physicians, we're usually very good at dealing with the work challenges. But sometimes it's when the life challenges get so heavy that that's when the balance breaks and you fall into burnout. You walk a fine line when you share stories of personal pain and vulnerability, particularly as a woman. Am I sharing too much? Does it make me seem weak? So then why am I telling you this? Pourquoi est-ce que je vous parle de tout cela? Because we need to hear more of these stories on these types of stages to normalize the discussion so that we know we're not alone. We need to reduce the stigma of talking about the challenges we face. And we need to think innovatively and differently about physician health, and more specifically, in the strategies needed to improve it. It can no longer be just about mindfulness and resilience and individual strategies. Yes, as individuals, we all have a responsibility to look after ourselves. We can do our part to foster supportive work environments, but we also need supportive systems. We need system-level changes to benefit physicians, because everyone suffers when physician health is ignored. Healthy doctors lead to healthy patients. And the CMA has, will be, and will continue to be a physician organization. And as part of that, as you heard earlier, we are taking action on physician health. We're convening experts from around the world at the International Conference on Physician Health, which will be held in Toronto in October. We'll soon be releasing the first national data set on the state of physician wellness in Canada. And we're creating a new physician-led team at the CMA who will focus solely on our well-being and will soon put into place a physician wellness action plan. What we're looking to do is change medical culture to make it healthy and supportive for everyone, which goes hand in hand with my second purpose, diversity. The face of medicine is changing. And when I look into the audience today, I see medical students and physicians of different ages, ethnicities, genders, and abilities. Yet ensuring representation, diversity, and inclusion in medicine is still very much a work in progress. I believe that better diversity in medicine will lead to better healthcare for our patients. With better diversity, we can build stronger therapeutic relationships with our patients, with more trust and cooperation. And as a profession, we would be a better reflection of the patients we serve. And I want you to consider more than just gender or ethnicity. Je parle aussi des perspectives nouvelles, des meilleures techniques de solution de problèmes et des façons différentes de réfléchir. Bref, la diversité mène à l'innovation. Over the coming year, I look forward to continuing our conversations about inclusion, women in medicine, leadership, and creating a medical culture that is professional and respectful of everyone. And these are not always easy conversations to have. But in this era of intolerance, #MeToo in medicine, and truth and reconciliation, these are conversations that must be had. This is an incredible time to be part of the CMA, and it's a time when the medical profession is undergoing many changes and facing immense pressures. And it's a time when we have the unprecedented opportunity to be leaders. And we really are looking to all of you in the room and all of you who aren't in the room to tell us where we should be focusing our efforts and our energies so we can move forward together. Which brings me to my third purpose, advocacy. Ce qui m'amène à mon troisième objectif, notre influence politique. There are a great many leaders who have walked before us and have shown us just how powerful our collective voice can be. I think back to our meeting last year in Quebec City when we celebrated our 150 years of advocacy so proudly. And I look around the room today and I see many of our past presidents who have joined us here in Winnipeg. And I want to take this opportunity to thank them for their leadership. And in particular, thank you to Dr. Avery, who I am so proud to call a mentor and a friend. And thank you to Dr. Marcoux, who has been a champion for seniors' care at this critical time. Most recently, he brought the voice of the Canadian medical profession to the international community and addressed the United Nations in New York City. And looking ahead, we have many more chances to make a lasting impression on health, healthcare, the profession, and the system. There are great opportunities ahead of us that we simply cannot let go by. It is a challenging time for the CMA, and as your new president, I'm looking forward to what the future will bring. I feel privileged to be speaking on behalf of such an engaged and passionate group of physicians. I encourage you all to think of yourselves as leaders. With a federal election in 2019, now is the time to gain support for your ideas on how to make healthcare better. Because healthcare continues to be a big ballot issue, and this is the time for physicians to highlight gaps and push for change at a grassroots level. And I know it can be overwhelming to think of the magnitude of change that is needed in healthcare, but remember that small changes can have a big impact. And as physicians, we can start by taking action in our own practices, in our hospitals, and in our specialties. We at the CMA know that our focus needs to be on keeping the profession healthy and vibrant. And through our health advocacy efforts, we will also focus on making Canada healthy as well. Over the last 2 days, we've heard about innovation and technology and how they are set to change healthcare. And it has been both exciting and a little bit frightening to think about what's coming our way and how things will change. But rather than resist it, I've been thinking about this as a new way to face this new reality. Because we've discussed and debated and shared ideas on how we can prepare ourselves for what's coming and how the new technologies could make our work more efficient and effective. And I want you all to know that the conversations that we've had here in Winnipeg will continue. They won't stop here. The focus on innovation will continue because our work on that is just starting and will be ramping up in the months to come. And more importantly, we do want to hear from you. We want your ideas on innovation and your priorities for the profession. We'll be hosting member forums in 2019 to continue these conversations. We'll be going to Western, Central, and Atlantic Canada to meet with you and to hear from you, our members. Because as physicians, you see both the problems and possible solutions. We want to know what they are and how we can work together towards effective solutions. So, I started this address by talking about myself. J'ai commencé par parler de moi-même. And I'm going to end it by talking about you, my friends and colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity to serve and represent you. As physicians, we have a deep sense of commitment to others, to our patients, our colleagues, and our fellow healthcare providers. We go above and beyond to look after those in our care and to give so much of ourselves to ensure that others can get well. We're dedicated and hardworking individuals who must contend with immense pressures in our day-to-day work. So for all that you do, I say thank you, merci beaucoup, and miigwech.